Welcome back, you lovely bunch. Thanks for tuning again. Hope you're all doing good. Welcome to a glorious sunny afternoon in the Devon countryside. It's pretty grim this morning, all wet, windy and grey, so I built a bike up and now we've been rewarded with some sunshine. And John, whilst I was building a bike this morning and faffing about, I was doing a little bit of dot watching because the GB Giro's on at the moment. For those of you that don't know, GB Giro it's like a self-supported ultra distance cycling race. It goes all the way from the south of the UK to the north. I don't know how far it is. It's bloody miles, it's really far. So I've got massive respect to everyone out there doing it. It's such a hard event to do. And also, when the weather is like it has been recently, I mean, damn, that's grim. You know, riding on a day like today is lovely, but getting up when you're fatigued, you're tired, and having to do like 300-400 Ks a day in the rain, I mean, who wants to do that really? Nobody. So it did get me thinking, and you guys know I like to ask you guys a question. So here it is. What do you think the hardest cycling discipline is ever? Like, what do you think it is? Maybe it's just because I was watching GB Giro today, but these like self-supported long distance cycling event things, races, that to me, I would say is the hardest thing ever. Like, it's got to be. So anyway, that's what I reckon. I reckon it is ultra distance. Ultra distance has got to be the hardest discipline for a cyclist to train for. You know, just takes so much time, so much like commitment and so much like work. It's just hours on the bike, isn't it? I don't know, am I wrong? Is it like downhill? Is it track racing? Is it like BMX racing? Like, racing at a high level obviously involves a lot of discipline and a lot of work, whatever you're doing. But I would say the one that's most grueling and the hardest one for me, the one that I would find most difficult and I'll be most put off by, you know, and I'm least likely to try, is ultra distance cycling. Like, I'm never going to say never, you know, maybe one day, maybe I could aim for it. But anyway, that's what we're going to chat about today. Well, I suppose we've already chatted about it. So we're going to have to fill the rest of the vlog with some cake, coffee, some nice miles. I've already been riding for 40 minutes, so I'm pretty much a good way into my first day of the GB Giro. I have to give a special shout out to Will Robinson. He's smashing it. He is riding a hardtail. I think he's the only person on a hardtail mountain bike, and he's currently in third. The guy is an absolute machine. It's like Drago from Rocky. I'd be happy if I could do one ride with 400k, you know? It's that sort of thing, like Katie does these like mad distance rides, doesn't she? Like, do you think I should give that a go? Would you guys like to see me break myself trying to do a 400k ride? It would ruin me. Anyway, let's go for a waffle, enjoy this sunshine, and we can talk more about the hardest discipline in cycling. Right, let's go. So thinking a bit more about my question that I asked you guys, I should actually clarify. I said like the hardest cycling discipline, and by that I don't mean the one that involves the most training or things, or like if you want to be an Olympian or race the Tour de France, I get it. But what I mean when I say I think ultra distance is the hardest discipline of cycling is that the actual event itself, you know, like forget all the prep work and the stuff you do behind the scenes and all that stuff. Like say with track racing, for example, you want to go to the Olympics. I'm not talking about the build up and the work they have to do behind the scenes. I'm talking about the on the day event. So track cycling, you have the 7 days, you know, which is like 7 days of racing back to back. Obviously really hard, and that's going to like totally ruin anybody that does it. Doing any sport for 7 days like back to back is gonna kill you, you know. It's gonna massively tire you out. The same in the Tour de France, you know. Tour de France is like what, 21 days, you know. I think they get what, 2 rest days today, am I wrong? So what we're doing, like 19 days without really that many breaks, you know. But on the Tour de France, you know, you have like chefs that take care of the teams, you have masseuses, you know, you have hotels, food prepped by chefs, like nutritionists, like sports scientists. You've got all this team behind you, you know. So whilst it is, there's no denying it's a really hard event to do, and like, you know, like I could train for the rest of my life and never be fit enough to do it. But I still think that ultra distance is the hardest. Like on the day, you know, you don't get a hotel. Like you ride 400k, you eat a Big Mac and you sleep in a ditch. That's ultra cycling, you know. The grim reality is if you're doing an ultra distance like race and you want to win it, like you can't be fussy about where you sleep. I did read something, I can't remember who was it. I was watching something, it was a podcast somewhere, where the transcontinental riders, apparently the ones that win it, they all actually book hotels, which I think is a really good idea. But then that must be quite hard to manage, because like, how do you know how far you're going to get? So whilst like loads of disciplines are hard and involve a lot of like work to get to the peak of them, I mean, any sport involves work to be at the peak and the very top. But disciplines such as ultra distance, you know, I don't think there is anything harder. Like whether it's running, cycling, like swimming, wasn't there some bloke that swam the English Channel and he like chewed his tongue off because he was like so cold or something? I might have just made that up. But anyway, ultra distance is just for nothing, and people with like an insane level of fitness and just that like endurance where they can just go for days and days and days. And that's something that I've always really struggled with, and it's something I've been quite jealous of with people. Like I see people do these multi-day events and my knees just don't like it, and I don't know if it's because I don't do enough of it or because my body just says no. I think the first is more accurate. I think it is just that I don't do it enough, and maybe my body just needs to adjust to it and get used to it. I don't know, do you guys agree with me? I think you should all agree with me. I think you're mad if you don't agree with me, but you're entitled to your own opinion. But what do you think the hardest cycling discipline is, like, you know, to compete in? Like, is it ultra distance? Is it track? Is it downhill? Is it BMX? Cyclocross? I mean, cyclocross is a hard one. But again, right, ignore the prep you have to do before it. You go there, you do an hour and a half race, maybe 2 hours, whatever the race is. It's hard, it's brutal, but once you're done, you're done. It's not like you're doing it fatigued day after day after day after day. And that's why I think that ultra distance is just like, it's just for a special kind of superhero. And so anyone that's an ultra distance cyclist, like, respect. I wish I had the strength and stamina that you guys do, and that's something that I actually want to work towards. And I kind of said at the beginning, like, it's something that I probably never do. It's something I'd like to do, and I'm in a very good position to be able to train to do that, you know. Like, I can ride all day, every day for a job, and the whole single parent life thing does make it slightly difficult, but it's easier for me than it is for a lot of other people, so I haven't got any excuses. So I don't know, would you guys be interested in watching me totally smash myself trying to do like a 400k ride? What's considered like a long ride nowadays? Is like 200k long, or is that like standard? Is 300k? What do I go for my first like tester ride? How far should I ride? I'm leaving it up to you guys. I mean, you're going to suggest numbers and then I'll pick the easiest one. That's probably what's going to happen. But I'm leaving it up to you guys. Anyway, I think we should carry on riding because it's lovely and sunny, and I've done like 2 hours and I'm feeling all like happy and motivated. See, 2 hours, you know, 2 hours, 16 hours. I think the last long distance ride I did, or like long duration, was like an Everesting, and that was 16 hours. And that was hard. But then it was on a tiny little bike, so that's probably why it was hard. Anyway, let's go. After 2 hours on the bike, I can tell you, an ultra distance cyclist, I'm definitely not. I think a lot of it is to do with pacing. Like, I have a tendency just to like give it a kick every now and then. There's a hill, I need to sprint up it. Oh, there's a sign, I'm going to sprint for it. And like these like loads of little efforts end up fatiguing you over time. So I think like a big key to ultra distance is like just that constant pace. And it's a pace that's a lot slower than the pace I'm used to. I mean, obviously the guys winning are crazy fast, but for me, I think what I would find hardest is keeping the pace down. I just get too excited, and I enjoy cycling, so it makes me all like, ah! And so I have to ride fast. I mean, there's a lot more to it than just that. You know, there's fueling, there's routes, there's so many elements to it, and also you have to navigate whilst being massively fatigued, tired, hungry, stressed out. Like, you know, that is why I think it's the hardest discipline. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. On this one, I actually think that I'm right. But talking about it, watching the dots, has kind of inspired me a bit. And I'm not going to go and ride to Scotland in one hit and sleep in a ditch on the way. But what it has inspired me to do is get out and do a really long ride. So this is why I was asking you guys, like, how long a ride would you consider a long ride? Like, my longest ride this year has probably been about like 100k, which isn't that long really. But I don't feel like I'd need to do a massive amount of training to do a long ride at the moment. Like, I've got a really good base fitness, and for me, as long as I go out and pace myself, I mean, it will be really hard, but with good pacing, good fueling, you know, that's the thing, making myself eat and drink regularly and keeping the pace down, I should be fine, right? So what do you reckon? Do we go for 200k? Do we go for 300k? I mean, 300k is a lot, right? Do I just go for a 200k ride to start it off? Do you guys feel like that's not enough? Do I do 250? Is 300? Is 100 enough? I don't think 100 is enough. I need you guys to help me. How far should I ride? Such randomness. So remember to let me know down below what you think is the hardest discipline. Do you agree with me? Is ultra distance running, cycling, is that like the hardest sport in the world? Anyway, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Bye.